Welcome to this week's DTC Coffee Shop, episode 6. We're covering today Q5. We're covering crypto, DTC 2022 predictions. Please feel free to smash the subscribe button. I've seen that over 80% of the people that have been watching this are not yet subscribed. That's easy as hell to fix. There's a little red button. I think it's over here. You can hit that thing. Please feel free to ask questions if you have them, especially if you don't see this live. And make sure to follow all the other people. You can find me, CT the Disruptor, on Instagram and Twitter. We're going to welcome up also Lord of Ads and welcome back to the stage Dylan here in just a moment. But I want to say, first off, thank you to everybody watching all this stuff. It is super fun. It means the world to me that you guys are paying attention to these things. I love to be as helpful as possible. So follow us. Make sure that you're asking questions. Let us know other things that we can do to be helpful to you. And without any further ado, let me bring to the stage, we're going to introduce new guest to the show, Lord of Ads, old friend of mine. How are you doing, buddy? Long time only on the internet. Last time I saw you, you were in a very dark room. It looks like you moved. You now have access to daylight. Look at that.
Well, I have windows behind me. I choose to use them sometimes, specifically not when I'm recording. I record too. But yeah, super excited to be on the show. I've been watching some of the earlier episodes. I know a lot of the faces that were on. And yeah, excited to start the conversation with you today.
Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate it. You and I think, ran into each other on Twitter. What, at the end of the summer last year, early fall?
It was like early fall because I started posting consistently back in August of 2020. And then you came up a couple months later, throwing shots at everybody like you do. Some people blocked you. Some people wanted to have a conversation. I just happened to be one of those people. So
there you go. I think that's about as solid a ringing endorsement as possible. And now, thousands and thousands of followers later, we had a race to 3,000 with Christine.
that was quite the momentous achievement.
That was fun. And then for whatever reason, we all got to different levels. I seem to have stalled out around 6. I don't know. We'll see. It's fun. We're here for it, and that's the big thing. So anyway, man, it's really great to see you here. I really appreciate it. And we'll make sure at the end of the show to make sure people can find you and all sorts of stuff. Also in the description of this video, they can see your socials. They can go to your website. They can join the round table, all that stuff. It's included live during the broadcast and later because I did a little bit of prep work this time. I'm trying to make this thing a little bit better. With that being said, making things a little bit better, let's welcome, well, I guess we're going to do the counterpoint to that. It's Dylan, everybody. I don't know if you caught the joke. Welcome back, Dylan, to DTC Coffee Shop. For those that don't know you, give us a quick little thing, my man. You're looking fresh, by the way.
I showered before noon today, so it's huge, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, I'm an ad guy. I spend 30, 40, 50K a day sometimes. I do a lot of crypto and NFT stuff, and yeah, I play a lot of Xbox, Battlefield 2042 right now. Just fuck people up. Ruin their days. Makes my day,
I like it. So I wanted to get into a bunch of stuff, but since you opened the door to it, talking about crypto here real quick. So I don't know if you do a lot of crypto, but Dylan helped me set up these nodes so that now I'm apparently part of a Ponzi scheme and going to be making some money. Do you know anything about crypto?
I know a decent amount. I can't say I know a lot about this node system that we've been chatting about in the group chat. So I'm interested to hear more.
Daniel, do you want to hip us all to this node system real quick? Just this get rich quick background money stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. It's easy to explain it one-on-one, but now that multiple people can see this, I could be fucking just super wrong. But hey, whatever. So I mean, when I think of a node, there's crypto and there's nodes. With crypto, it's like stock, it can go up. That crypto, it goes up. Or I can use that crypto and put it into a node to where I can no longer touch that crypto, but it earns me rewards passively, which could be tokens like Strong or Rings. So hypothetically, the best way to put this is you buy a monkey for $10,000. That monkey poops out a banana worth $100. So within 100 days, you break even. Everything past that is profit. You can either keep the bananas, You can sell them on another platform or market, or you can use those bananas to get another monkey and keep compounding it. So, but I think a node, it kind of connects different things in the blockchain. So, I mean, if I were to send you money to your wallet, I mean, there are a lot of moving parts there. It's where I think we help smoothen that out essentially with code to some extent. But like I said, I could be completely wrong, but that's kind of just how I think about it and explain it to people, I guess.
Yeah, I was looking deep into some YouTube stuff while driving to Chipotle last night to celebrate my winnings in football, because apparently I've turned $300 into like 810 over the last 3 days if you've been paying attention to my Instagram stories, which is stupid, but whatever. I'll take it. And yeah, so like the idea is like when you do a transaction, the miner is the thing that like helps the transactions occur, right? And you get paid to do that work. Well, some of these things like Strong or Ring, of which I now have a note of each, thank you, Dylan. What they do is it's sort of like a universal income for everybody that helps support that network to exist and effectively gives it resources in order to function. So it's sort of like you're investing in the infrastructure and giving it resources to do its job with. So that's sort of the idea behind all of it. You're providing infrastructural support so that the miner can do the job and the end user gets the net result.
Like a gas fee?
Sort of. You can think of it like
it's like a gas fee, but you're like voluntarily pushing it before, you know, actually getting something in exchange.
Yeah, something like that. So in this case, like I set up a node. It cost me, I think one of them cost me, the one I set up today was about $1,500. At the current universal income, it'll be about 18 days till I break even. So then I can basically just extract my money.
In full disclosure, the reason it's so sexy and enticing is we're going to get rug pulled. You know, that could possibly happen, or they're going to lower the rewards over time. So right now they just want to make their ecosystem a lot bigger, saying, hey, we're going to give you a lot more out of the gate. We're probably not going to make much money on this, but you're getting money out of it to build more of these nodes. So I would imagine over time, they're slowly going to, like that 0.5 ring you get every single day, they're probably going to cut it down to 0.25 and then 0.1, you know, all the way down the road. But by then you should, you know, break even. So everything past that is pure profit, whether it's the good shit right now or 3 years from now, it's 1/10 of what it is now. It's still free fucking money, kind of.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. And I don't want to derail completely into just absolute degenerate crypto shit, but like, I'm curious on how people are doing with that. And by the way, if you know anything about this stuff and you feel like absolutely correcting us, please drop links in the comments section so that we can know what the hell is going on. There might very well be I've got 4K in my Coinbase. Can we screen share you helping me make more money? Because that's absolutely what happened with Dylan. It was about 9 or whatever. The other quick thing I want to get with crypto is a quick gut check. Dylan and I both have lost this fantasy football league. Neither of us can win at this point. But so I don't know if you've been paying attention, but we bought into this fantasy football league with some other DTC guys. And Rabba, I think, is still in the league. And I Am Sam Thompson's in the league. And Gibbs and Riley Farah. There's a few guys. And we all split like $100. But what we did is we threw it all into Shiba. And then it went from like $800 to like 10 grand.
Yeah.
And so I just want to do a nice little checkup. Now that we're all out, how much is it worth?
It's about 3,800 now, maybe.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's definitely gone down substantially.
Well,
not that to my own horn, but I was saying, a couple, months ago, like, guys, we should pull out and split it while we can. Not because I'm in last, but I'm just kind of doing everybody a favor,
I suggested that too when I was in last, and like everybody was like, "Well, last place just wants to split the money."
Well, listen, hit me up if you guys want to do the same thing on hockey, because I'm Canadian. That's the sport that I follow.
For what it's worth, Dylan is a goalie in hockey, and also other people on this show. Brent, who's Brent Entertaining. He's the Brent Entertainer.
Yep.
He's Canadian. He's in hockey. And I think Barry is also a big hockey guy, being hot.
You have the squad right there then, man.
Yeah.
Let's
there you go. I personally won't do it for hockey just because that sounds like work. I like fantasy football because I can make one move a week and I'm good to go. But I fully support all of this and would 100% want to know how it's going. So I love that. I love that. Yeah. So anyway, all that fun stuff with crypto aside, I've got some nodes and we're going to see what happens. And so far it's working out. I've made so far, I've made about 4 cents back on my dollar and I set it up yesterday. So if you extrapolate that math out over 3-4 months, I will have broken even and will be sitting pretty on it with something where I'm sure that Shiba or Solana wouldn't have made me money anyway. So all that fun stuff being said, let's get into Facebook stuff. So what I'd love to start off with today is Q5. Now, Q5 is a big term inside of Facebook. Some people know about it, some people don't. We were practicing before this stuff, and you guys like, what the fuck is Q5? So let me help you out with that. So Q5 is the week after Christmas, before New Year's. So I'm actually was writing a Twitter thread about this, and I made it like 7 posts deep, and I was like, oh, I'm just tired. I like woke up in like 3 episodes of Modern Family later, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to sleep. And I guess I hit delete instead of save thread or whatever, and I woke up and it wasn't there, so I was super pissed. But so one of the big things about Q5 is the scaling opportunity and also the unit economics. So let me break down to the 2 big factors into Q5 and why it's massive, plus the added bonus. Factor number 1 into why Q5 is massive. Unit economics on the platform. Now, most evil international conglomerate ad agencies, of which I've been an owner, I've been a supervisor, I've spent millions of dollars for, we've all potentially worked with or seen the efforts of, the way that they manage contracts and the way that they work things is generally front-paced throughout the month. Now, in holidays, they generally, ad agency folk take the 2 weeks off. It also, because of most financial plans for businesses, end on basically gifting, right? Everybody takes the last 2 weeks off. So what this really means is the volume of advertising dollars inside of the system is much, much higher, or much, much higher up into a certain point and then drops. So basically everybody's paced their monthly budgets and then they're dead on Christmas, the day before Christmas, day after Christmas, something like that. So the advertising dollars drop dramatically. Now we all know, oh, it's February, January, CPMs are so much lower. And there's all this theory behind, supply and demand and all this other stuff. And part of it is just the advertising dollars going in. Well, that drop actually occurs the day before Christmas. Basically, everybody's like, why am I spending any money on Facebook ads to sell some shit nobody's going to buy the day before? They're traveling. We've already, usually it hits about 2-3 days before, which is known as the travel bump. And that is hitting accounts right now. You might notice today's performance a little bit worse than yesterday's. I'm gonna open up the future for you. Tomorrow's is gonna be dog shit. The day after that is gonna be even fucking worse. And here's why. People have spent their money and they're traveling. Now, there's a lot of people on Facebook because of traveling and family and whatnot, but especially during these times, inventory goes down relative to the trend. And advertising is still on because a lot of big agencies and a lot of big businesses are running non-performance media. Now that changes a little bit by percentage over the years, but we're talking lifetime budgets, reach and frequency campaigns, all sorts of other shit to just buy up inventory, right? Not even conversion objective stuff. But so basically what this means is there's a shit ton of money going into a pool that's getting smaller and smaller amongst a whole bunch of people that don't want to buy. So your performance is going to be shit. That tap on the other side, that competition stops the day before Christmas, especially Christmas Day. So basically, there is now this hard break in the demand. Point 2 of why this works. Nobody's spending money right now Because one, they might get the shit that they want for Christmas, or they're traveling, or they're doing whatever. And so culturally speaking, in Christmas time, the day of Christmas, and especially the day after, that week is bigger than Black Friday in the amount of investment people make in themselves. And the point to this is Black Friday is often spent in gifting and stuff around the house, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But after Christmas is the time when people, after Christmas and in the beginning, leading up to that New Year's, and people spend the most amount of money on shit for them that is frivolous. And that is frivolous spending as well as aspirational spending. So it's not the thing you need for the house. It's not it's not that shirt that you want, or this cardigan, for instance. It's all of the dumb shit that you buy because of the lifestyle that you want to have. Now, what this means is much lower barrier to entry to make the sale. It also means that people are spending money. Why? Because you got your stuff from under the tree. Oh, I didn't get X, Y, and Z was on my list. I'm just going out and get it. So now there's 5 or 6 things in your cart, in your mind, or you might have literally just kept them in your Amazon or whatever, that you're waiting just like, all right, like I've got 10 things queued up. Are they or are they not going to be under the tree? I had 10 things on my list. I got 7 of them. Boom. Day after Christmas, I'm going to go buy those 3 things. Now, what happens is, in addition to those 3 things, people tend to buy a couple other stuff. They've been having their eye on things. There's other things, like I know 3 or 4 things that, like, I'm not buying it because I'm traveling. I want to make sure that I'm back home. A million different reasons. Also, that travel bump occurs on the other side. So user demand spikes the day after Christmas. Also, inventory spikes the day after Christmas, because the time leading up to Christmas, you've been traveling, you did it with family, all of this stuff, right? Well, what happens the week after Christmas? You've met with all the family members you're obligated to. You've traveled back home and you've taken the week off. Bottom line is, the average user spends a good, standard deviation to the right more time on the platform. So there's way more inventory. So CPMs go down, buying intent goes up, and your competition in the ecosystem drops because big money is out. So performance marketers are the ones spending, but those big advertisers aren't. So Q5 is this huge time where D2C brands can absolutely gold rush. Now, here's the nice part, the good to have, that extra little bonus. If you use this time to scale your account on your daily spend, which I've done, I've taken an account from 10K on Christmas and to 100K by New Year's. What happens is your new standard of operation is much higher. So what you can do is you can borrow from other revenue or whatever, but you know, when we're scaling our account and we're seeing this stuff happens, and then like, okay, well, I'm no longer profitable, I'm going to pull back a little bit, whatever. If you go from $2,000 to $10,000, and then you pull back to 5, well, your new normal is 2.5 times your old normal. And it's a fairly sustainable process, because what you've been really needing is enough volume of conversion data to deliver a consistent result. Anyway, that's the theory around Q5, and they're using it to scale into Q1. So I was going to ask you guys what you thought about Q5 or what your plans were, what you had seen. But since we came to this and you guys are almost like I've never heard of that thing, I'm really curious as to some really seasoned media buyers with really active accounts. So have you seen this before? What are you thinking? Let's go, Dylan. What do you think?
Yeah, I just realized, I mean, we've never really called Q5, but we do launch a good amount of end of season sales, for example, that usually launch December 25th. And that usually runs to about January 15th, to be honest. And those are really successful. And I know we do them for at least 3 apparel brands where the AOV is average 170. So, I mean, I think it drops down to like 150 realistically during this. So it still slaps for us. But there are some to where we just kind of, change up some of the creative, kind of more New Year-esque for the most part. But the end of season sale is kind of our go-to that we've been doing for 2 or 3 years for multiple brands. So, but yeah, it's usually pretty high. I've slimmed down a good amount of budget specific. We probably did it, honestly, Monday. We started slimming it down because, yeah, you're spot on. Like, it's gotten worse and worse by the day. So we've just been kind of slowly trimming it up by the day. But on 25th, we are kind of relaunching it back up, whether people are traveling or not, just because historically that has been a somewhat decent day for us to where we can put some spin behind it.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. End of year sales, New Year's sales, brands that are pushing that, but also using evergreen content, not necessarily specific sale content, maybe just having that loaded on the site for when someone gets to it. That tends to work well, not just for end of year, but for other sales events throughout the year as well, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I absolutely loved Charlie, by the way. I could definitely see the radio personality behind the scenes. You laid out an argument at the start. You're like, Q5 is awesome. Here's why. And then you actually picked apart every individual question that someone could have in the back of their mind as to why or how it wouldn't work. So fantastic job on your part. And the logic makes sense to me. I don't know about you, Dylan. I think the way that Charlie explained it was pretty spot on. And he used data behind it as well. So yeah, definitely a shift in the way that I'm thinking from that maybe 7 to 10 day period after Christmas, and specifically ramping up into Q1 with that additional ad spend towards the end of the year. I think that maybe even more than direct sales at this time of year is more important to brands that are looking for month-over-month growth.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I appreciate that. Dylan, what were you going to say?
Yeah, and I mean, I was going to go to the point you even made up to where people are just spending budgets to even get rid of their Q4 budgets. I mean, a lot of these brands, when I hear they measure off impressions, it's like, fuck it, let's just throw as much spin as we can in these reach and frequency campaigns and just buy up some inventory. It's just nuts. I mean, hey, we need 10 million impressions over the next 7 days. Like, say less, you know? That's so cool, low key.
Yeah, I legitimately used to get paid like 75 grand a year to do reach and frequency campaigns and put together Excel spreadsheets. What we call that job is supervisor at an ad agency. That is 90% of the gig. And it is the dumbest money I've ever made for the least amount of work. Yeah, it's stupid. But hey, look, you think it's dumb, but also you got to look at like the brand owner that like, I mean, let me ask you guys this question. It's a slight pivot from Q5 because I feel like we've hammered that home for a second. But let me ask you guys this question. That being a great pivot point. Somebody, I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Cody, which, by the way, I've been loving Cody. His posts lately, Klofker, who's also in the chat and stuff. He's been on fire lately. It's been fun. To be fair, I just love seeing people say stuff I've been saying for years and get celebrated for it. When people hated on me for doing it 5 years ago, but whatever. What would happen? And maybe it was Barry that asked this question. What would happen if a major car manufacturer, let's say Ford, just stopped spending money on advertising?
I did see that.
Like, what do you think would happen?
I really couldn't tell you. They're that big. I feel like they'd see a dip, you know.
They have a lot of other third-party companies working in tandem with them, though, like across the web. Like, so there's like, I know a little bit about the space. There's third-party companies that host their inventory on their platform and then take a percentage of the leads that come through their website. So would it have a dip? Yes. I don't think it would have as big of a dip as most would assume, though, just because of those third-party platforms out there that are all working with the dealerships.
That's what I would think too.
Yeah, I mean,
in the market, you're bound to run into them. You know, like, oh, that's Ford. I haven't seen an ad from them in a while, but I forgot I like the F-150. You know, some random shit like that. So
if they're introducing a new car, though, that's going to be tough. Like, if they're not allowed to spend on media at all, nobody's going to know about it.
Sure. Yeah, the like Mustang, for instance, the Ford, where they're like the crossover SUV they're billing as a Mustang. Like, you wouldn't know about it, but I used to spend an ungodly amount of money for Infiniti and Nissan, and I can't tell you the amount of people in a room it would take to get a hot technology like a cinematograph of like the new 7-seater SUV for Infiniti to make a reach and frequency ad that was like 200 grand for a week. Like, it would probably cost $70,000 in salary, like full-time equivalency for the meeting times and work to get that ad out the door.
Wow.
And that was back when cinemagraphs were like hot shit. Do you remember cinemagraphs?
I might be too young for this one. So
okay, fair enough. This was hot shit in 2013, 2014 media buying. What it was they realized that video did better than images, but nobody wanted to cut video. So you took an image and it'd be like the Infiniti, like on a night by a river, right? And the river would move, but nothing else. So somebody would animate the one little section and it was called a cinematograph. Or it'd be like a lady and like the dress would like flow, but nothing else would, right? And that's how you turned an image into a video without having to hire a video team. And so it would save like $1 million on a shoot and you could say that you launched video. Which, again, we're talking about stupid shit. So the point is, like, not having advertising for these big businesses. And the reason I ask it is because I personally see that as a logical extension of where I think a lot of things are going. And my point to that is one of the biggest taxes we see as media buyers on the ecosystem is assholes with stupid money like Baby Huey just dropping shit all over the place. Like, one of my biggest arguments against interest groups was that I used to spend $1 million a day on interest groups just to do market research so that I could sell $10,000 and $100,000 TV spots. So like, if I'm running Sweet for CBS, I could run an interest group on every show across 1 million different demographics and then go to CBS and say, these are the people you should go and hit up for advertising. Here's the data to say, okay, well, we hit up 200 million people. 47 million of them responded positively. So yes, you should get Charmin instead of like, I don't know, Gladware or whatever. Like, we knew the demographic to sell the TV ad to. So it was a profitable venture. But it also jacked up the CPMs for everybody else. And that happens all the time. Like, I talk to people that, I know a guy that, I mean, he had a $10 million reach and frequency campaign for the first 2 weeks of December for a car company last year. He did the Happy Honda Days buy. Did they make money on it? Probably not. Can you tell? Probably not. Do I miss those commercials? Absolutely. But so that's the point, because my point here is we saw a big influx of money come from television and radio, right? Into the social space. Like brands, like when I did a case, when I was on the show, The Pitch on AMC, 1-800-Flowers was like, we're looking for a new agency of record for digital advertising. You have to spend $100,000, but you can't do television. You have to only do internet advertising. It has to only be social. And it was like this, like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Which now, yeah, is fucking hilarious, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's
why would you
wild.
why would you spend $100,000 on TV? Just run a fucking direct consumer campaign. Which, by the way, spoiler alert, in case you don't want to go back and watch the episode, it's the last episode of the show. They canceled the show after I appeared on TV, which is not. I understand that. What we did is we created these. They had these $5 cookies, and it just had a smiley face, right? And we said that if you got one, you could scan, you could post it. Oh, I got this cookie. And then when you got it, you could give it to somebody for $5 and we basically paid the shipping. So that $100,000 was 20,000 cookies. And we basically made a Facebook page where you could basically network the 20,000 people. So I give one to you, you give one to him, and then I can meet him because of that. And then that got what we did. That did is it got CRM data for 20,000 people for $100, $100,000, which
not a bad deal.
Solid as fuck deal for 1-800-Flowers, and we won for just because gifting. But yeah, bottom line, my point to all of this is, if we see those big advertisers leave this space, I could see CPM costs no longer rising at the same level. And I think we're already seeing it. I don't know about you guys, but I know one of my favorite complainers on Twitter is talking about CPMs spiking. And I'm like, what are you seeing? And he's like, oh man, I'm seeing $25 CPMs. I'm like, well, what were you complaining about last year? And I showed him his tweet from last year. It was like $28 CPMs. Like, you're complaining that they stayed the same. So I'm wondering what you guys are seeing insofar as CPMs. Like, we used to just assume CPMs are going to double every year. Yeah. I remember that $2, $4, $8, 16, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. Like, that was just the norm.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, it's definitely, I mean, I'm seeing like $35 CPMs for some fucking accounts, and we just kind of accept it, to be honest with you. I mean,
I don't really care about CPMs. I care about making money. So some accounts have 40, 45 blended across the account. Mainly in remarketing, I'm seeing higher CPMs than ever since June. CPMs and remarketing. I mean, you could spend, I know Charlie, you have some hot takes on remarketing, but you could spend like $1,000 a day in prospecting and then $100 a day in remarketing, and your remarketing CPMs could be $150 in some cases. So I think it depends on like what kind of audience you're targeting specifically. Broad has been fairly consistent with the CPMs across all year, even during the iOS stuff back in June and July. And then to answer, I mean, your question, Charlie, about big brands leaving, I think I can see the logic behind your point, but more so on my end, brand is everything. And if you're not in the face of the general consumer, when you're a huge brand like that, other people are going to take that as an advantage to put themselves on the pedestal and put you behind. And saturation marketing is a real thing. The more you see a logo, the more you remember it. So I don't think they're going to be pulling out. I maybe there's more of a focus on performance in the future rather than just blowing millions of dollars on reach and frequency bullshit. But I don't foresee big brands completely leaving paid out of their ecosystem for marketing.
What about you, Dylan?
I mean, I think it's just going to get bigger and I think a lot of people I know who have had brands for a while to where they didn't look at the performance metrics as hard. It was more of how many people are we hitting out there. They are kind of transitioning to more performance marketing. So I think it's going to get more and more data driven with everything you do, to where, hey, we could run 100K on this platform, see all the tracking and all that good shit, or we can pray for the best on this TV freaking, ad essentially. So, I mean, granted, there is tracking on both ends, but there's just so much more granularity we can kind of dive into on these kind of platforms here. So, I mean, I think people will get smart to be like, just go where the money takes you pretty much. But
it's about where the attention is. If the attention isn't on TV, then TV is useless. The attention right now is on social.
Yeah, it's kind of like a big dick move, it probably in the future where it's going to be, they just want to have their TV, their brand on a commercial, which I get, it does have that brand authority play to it because, you think of this big brands being commercials. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be as valuable in the future, but they're going to find a way to monetize it even more. Like live shopping stuff would be really cool with VR. I can put my headset on, go into a commercial and shit. I would interact with that kind of nonsense, but that's also like a decade away.
Dude, metaverse ads are going to be next level. Can't wait.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. So with that kind of stuff, talking about the future, maybe we can pivot for a second. Like, what do you guys see if you had to make your bold prediction for 2022? What do you guys see happening in the D2C space? I'm really curious because I've got a few ideas, but I feel like we've kind of set the table for what the future could look like. But that might be, like you said, 5 years away, 10 years away. What does next year look like?
I think a lot of the innovative e-com brands are going to come up with some kind of crypto play. I don't know if that's going to be really early on in the year or towards the end of the year, but I do think that NFTs and crypto are going to make their way into e-com, specifically for the back end, maybe not promoting it on the front end as much, but when you have a VIP list of your top 1% buyers over, a year or two, you can then sell them something really exclusive. I think for an example, Cuts Clothing, if you guys are familiar, they just released a little card. It's $125, and it's a VIP membership that is offered to primarily VIP holders. It's available on the site for basically anybody to purchase if they so wish, but it's mainly marketed via email and SMS to the people that have already spent hundreds, thousands of dollars with the brand. You spend $125 to get this, if my camera could focus, come on, buddy, this virtual card that gives you lifetime discounts to the entire product line, priority support, free shipping on everything. And I think if brands were able to find something like that and transition that into some kind of NFT on the open marketplace, that would bode really well for them. But again, I don't think it's necessarily going to be something that every brand is going to have access to. It's mainly going to be the brands that have fuck you money to, spend and figure out a new system to help those customers become better customers.
And to your point, we actually have a brand we're trying to do this with right now, where we want to incorporate some NFT plays to where you get the same amount of deals, extra support, yearly yacht trips and shit like that, because we are a sick yacht. But our customer base is 50 plus men, but we want to find a way to get into that younger market, the wealthier market, so to say. So we want to come up with an NFT to where it appeals to that younger crowd. They get cool benefits to network with badass individuals who have high net worth. Plus it gets them into the door with our product with something they're more familiar with. So it's kind of more modernizing us to get into a different demographic, because we already have one pretty fine tuned, but we've been dying to get into this younger stage. So that's a cool way to do it there. So that's probably going to be a Q2, Q3 thing we have in the books there. But as a whole for next year, I've definitely seen some tweets like it's going to be the best year ever, but I don't, I think it's going to be a decent year. I don't think it's going to be anything breathtaking, to be honest. I think this year set a lot of brands up to actually understand what to expect on these platforms now. So I would say it's, I always say it's going to get worse before it gets better, but I mean, it's been pretty, not the greatest. So I'm like, I think it's going to be kind of consistent. Maybe it's a bit better, but I don't think it's going to be like fucking COVID year where every day was Black Friday. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll tell you, I have two opinions on this. And one, to go back to the NFT thing, I bought some NFTs like a week and a half ago for this thing called Spoiled Banana Society. Now, here's the thing. It's made by the Bored Ape people, right? But here's the thing. That NFT it's effectively a playing card. It's a fantasy football team. And you basically, it's like players and it's position and team, right? So hockey could be like goalie of this team, right? Forward here, like it's not actual names and whatever. But what they're doing is, and I think this more goes around what we were talking about with nodes. They're conducting transactions within this space, and they're doing giveaways. Basically, if you do really well, you get prize money. Right? So the top 100 teams get this, the bottom 100 teams get that, and there's 10,000 of them. Well, to me, feels a lot like they're making the NFT like a crypto. There's a certain amount of them. As the volume of them runs out, the value gets higher. And it was, I think, 0.08 Ethereum to buy one. And the price for first on any week is 5 Ethereum. So here's the point with that. If you were to take that model, which obviously like, hey, look, if I don't like my team, I could sell it to somebody, or I don't want to play anymore. I spent $300 to get it and Ethereum doubled. I'm going to sell it for 6. You could have people stake holding that, right? There's a business. My thinking is do that, but also with the Supreme business model. So that basically what you're doing is you're taking that holding card, but then you're also doing the product drop. Like I live in LA. I've seen the line on Fairfax when a Supreme product drops. And it is I've literally driven by it. Like I've gone to the Jewish deli that's down the street, and you have to like part the ways of people just to go in and get some fucking like matzo ball soup. Like, yeah. So my point with that is, if you were to take this Spoiled Banana Society, a legit NFT brand business, work it like crypto, where you're giving some things, but that thing itself has value. And then you take that into a product, into a limited supply product. Because I think the discounts or whatever, like when you guys are talking about and what brands are doing, I don't know that it means any different. Like, why am I going to buy the NFT? So if I buy the NFT, is that different than like, how is that different than a VIP membership? And it is cool. So I'm getting my VIP card in a different way. I'm getting but like my wife has a Target card, but she also just like pulls up her phone and scans shit. And I don't need it to return shit. I'm just like, I bought it on my credit card. Here it is. Thank you. Like, here are my Halloween, like, decorations. November 1st, give me my money back. Thanks. Cool. Which I totally didn't do. I promise.
I think it was tied to the account from my understanding, the actual card. So it wasn't something you could necessarily do that with. But to your point, yeah, the limited product drops, yes. Like that's the ideal, right? And I'm saying that because most brands aren't going to be in a position to do that. To schedule out drops with NFTs and hire some crypto guy that it's not even a role in the industry. Like,
sure,
most CMOs even are going to be like, okay, who the hell do I have to hire to get this rolling? Because they're not going to be, very well versed in it. And as the years go on, that's going to change and it's going to be more easily accessible. I would look to some of the bigger brands that target potentially a younger market to be the first innovators in the space. Nike potentially.
That's what I was going to say. Like Jordans, if I buy NFTs and it effectively is a randomized place in line for Jordan drops, I buy it for $500. But it means I have that randomized place in line for every Jordan drop, and say it's 3.
That's fucking sick, actually.
Yep.
Is there not
that's scratching the surface, dude? That's not even as crazy as it can get. Like you could literally have custom products shipped to your house if you buy, or if you mint one of the most rare ones.
Yeah, you get the gold card, and all of a sudden you get 3 days of Yeezys. Nobody else can do it. And then the secondary market. I am guy in line number 1 for the Yeezy drop. I got the 1 pair. Where am I going to go to sell that? eBay? I could, but now I could own the entire secondhand market. Because if you don't buy it from somebody that has this, we are not going to whatever X, Y, and Z support. So now you're creating this entire ecosystem where you are buying everything, and where I think this can absolutely crush. And what the point I was kind of getting to is concert ticket sales. If you want to eliminate scalping, or like not necessarily concert, but take Ticketmaster or the New Jersey Devils or like the Foo Fighters or like the Lakers or whatever, right? You could guarantee the first end and the second end market with an app and an NFT, where that card is no longer something that so many people cannot sit on 10 tickets. Now, look, you're not going to obviously secure the entire fucking arena, but you can get 20, 30% of those seats in a spot where when the thing is over, cool. But you can have that protection function as a set number of NFTs. And if you're a venue with, say, 500 seats, every night that a transaction based on that NFT expires and goes back to the owner. Right? Like there's a transaction there where it doesn't even have to be NFT. I mean, it functions as one, but you just have the app. So like I've got the app for the forum, right? They got fucking Kiss one night, and then they've got, I don't know, Kelly Clarkson the next night. And I go to the Kiss show or whatever, and at midnight my fucking NFT turns into a pumpkin and it's gone. Now I might not need to do anything other than just buy the ticket. But the back end can be completely NFT functionality. And then you could also sell premium access to that, like season tickets or whatever else.
Yeah, season tickets are going to be a big one, I think.
And I think that's the application.
There's going to be clout around it too. Like if you go to a hockey game and you're like, I'm a fucking season ticket holder. Here, look what I got. That's going to be something that people want physically.
And it's way more secure. right? Like you're not going to buy, like, say, like here, the Dodgers, for instance, season ticket holders will sell the one, I'm not going to that game. I'll sell the ticket for like $20. Well, that means there's 50 assholes faking that ticket. They're all, selling it on SeatGeek or Ticketmaster, whatever. Like, I can't tell you how many times we've all heard stories about somebody shows up to a concert or a sporting event with a fake ticket. Like, if it doesn't say LA Dodgers on it, NFT, like if it doesn't legitimately have that, where we take away the sexiness of the NFT and it's just the app and the back end structure is just Ethereum transactions.
There's a lot of cool shit we can do with this I think it's going to be a game changer with every industry, but I also don't think it's going to happen quick by any means.
No, this is like a 30-year thing.
Yeah, in our private chat, explaining it to you, Charlie, it takes a good 45 minutes, and you're pretty savvy with this stuff. So, for those normies out there, essentially, it's not going to be fucking easy, man.
Don't feel bad if you're a normie out there listening. He's not throwing it on you.
Not at all. I'm this. That bong rip earlier, man, just really got to me. But there's just so much you can really do. But yeah, I feel like we're still ahead of the game, to be honest with you. So sure. I'd rather start now than never.
Listening to this, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah. There you go. So getting back to DTC 2022 predictions, I liked where you guys, just went on that massive side rant because I was like, I would do it. The 2022 predictions, I'm way more bullish. I've seen the last two apocalypses on Facebook. I saw the conversion pixel. Like when there was a day where you were editing your Facebook account with Excel and you were running traffic. And then the next day you had ads manager and a conversion objective. I remember the apocalypse. And basically what happened is 2015, 2016, 2017, like this massive boom. Everybody who's a big expert now basically started media buying then. Or not everybody, but I'm saying I talked to Nick Shackelford, that's when he got into the game, or Taylor Holiday, that's when they got into the game. Like these individuals, I'm not talking about the fucking scam artists like Max Finn or Tim Bird or any of these other right-wing nut jobs, which that's a whole other thing. My point to them is, I call out names, whatever. I also hit up his Instagram account. I also called him out on his case studies with my original version of it that predates his by 6 months. That's fine. I'm not going to get asked to speak on the stages that they're hosting. My point to that is, I also saw the same thing with CBO, DPA, and the Power 5. And the market cap within 18 months of an apocalypse event after the conversion objective was an 82% lift. After CBO was like a 68% lift. We're talking just United States market cap of ad spend and results. I don't see any reason why we couldn't see 30 to 50% more money dumped into Facebook on the back of good performance within the next 12 months.
Those are good things, though. There hasn't really been anything good that's come out.
I hear you, but I would disagree. I think there have been good things. Because the good thing that happened because of iOS 14 was that when you tried to cheat the system, it stopped working for you. If you lean into machine learning, a lot of people, like a lot of students of the MBA program, not trying to plug it, just saying, are seeing the best year ever. A lot of my clients are seeing 2021 was their best year. And because when you're leaning into that machine learning, when you remove the distractions from the system and you lean into the next piece, I'll tell you, CBO is still extremely divisive. DPA was massively divisive when it was dropped. Conversion objectives, nobody wanted to launch them. And the net effect was agencies died. Like there used to be an entire industry of just remarketing, of retargeting agencies, that all they did was retarget, right? And we all may or may not know some of them, but they're out of business. So my point here is, if you're forced to have to adopt machine learning empowering practices, this next year allows your access to that data set to improve your business. And if you can stabilize that business and have an improving back end, you're going to be able to see scale like we haven't seen since maybe 2018. Somebody says CBO equals trash. I'm going to just put that right there.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, ABO.
So my whole point here is, in my opinion, now that the machine is Facebook as a whole, the machine learning algorithm, the trillions of data points are solving fewer versions of a problem, which means it's going to do it a much better. And as a result, what that means is broad with good ads is going to find an end user a lot easier. And to your point, where you're talking about, I don't care about CPMs, I just want overall performance. When you lean on performance, the machine learning is smarter. And we basically just have a hard reboot on the machine because of the data set. But now that we have aggregated events manager, limiting the overall number of data inputs into the system, and people having to either hack it, in which case they're going to continue to suffer, or lean into machine learning, in which case they're going to see better and better. Now, that is not a ABO versus CBO conversation. That is a, are you leaning into data or not conversation. That's learning phase versus not learning phase. I feel the compounding effect of that's going to be massive.
I do think it's people are going to go back to, or kind of go to a newer model of advertising to where, you know, it's exactly kind of what you're mentioning. But I still feel like with this old conversion objective, the DPAs, the CBO, these were more incentivized to help the advertisers rely on the algo a little bit more and help them understand that. I get out of the gate, people didn't trust it without a doubt. But I feel like the iOS thing was kind of a complete 180 from those things, to where it wasn't necessarily built to help the advertisers, but more of the society on the whole privacy nonsense. So I think it is a kind of a different beast there, to where I would love to see shit just hit the fan next year and just blow up for everybody. But we've been set some expectations to where, like, it's not like how it used to be. You know, we can change up, you know, some of the ways, go broad, just rely more on the creative side of things, but it's never going to be what Facebook used to be. But yeah, it's kind of weird. I feel like it's a weird thing that happened, but
I don't think that Charlie was trying to argue that. I think he was trying to argue, and correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, that there's opportunity with people not doing things the way that they're supposed to. It was a net negative to the platform as a whole, but the opportunity that came from that was the same as all the other previous adpocalypses. Correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie.
I love the adpocalypse. That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it in two parts. Number one, it was stupid easy for anybody to run an engagement campaign in 2017 and become a millionaire. Like, stupid fucking easy. I'm pissed that I was working for them and I didn't just start my own shit business. I'd be worth 10 times as much right now. But hey, look, I'm very happy with where I am, so I can't be terribly upset. The other side of it is, when you get a bunch of shit players out of the system, the level of noise that the machine learning relies upon to deliver good results is reduced. So it's a net positive for all of us, that it makes it more difficult, because the quality of data that we're all relying on in a machine learning environment is much greater. And I think, yeah, we've had enough arguments on the internet. I love that you can extract what I'm trying to say necessarily instead of the words that I'm using. I very much appreciate that, because you're spot on with what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, I feel like a third-party consult there, a good mediator, that completely made sense from how it was phrased, to where, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Darwinism at its finest. Kill off the, you know, crappy advertisers and let the new ones adapt and kind of thrive, because there's always going to be fucking changes.
Yeah. No, I think it's Darwinism, absolutely. And then all the people that were kick-ass when there was no competition are going to be the new normal. Right. And
I still think it's funny their actual agency that only did retargeting. Like, that's atrocious. Like,
dude, that was a business. Like, when I used to work at agencies, one of the things that I used to do was just steal market share from them. Because I would put up an ecosystem ROAS doc and I would prove the incrementality of their efforts. And I'd be like, okay, great. Well, I know their numbers look good. Here's their one-day post-click number. And I can do everything that they're doing, and we can bake it into our ad cut. We can make it into our management fee. So we'll bake it into a management fee. We'll take the additional revenue on that ad spend, and instead of paying them 20 grand a month plus us 20 grand a month and giving them 50 grand, just give me the 40 grand because I can do it for cheaper, and you save the 20 grand on them. And then like I just started to gobble up. Like I could walk into any relationship, and within 30 days, that company was gone, to the point where their salespeople knew who I was, and it was fucking hilarious. But yeah, do you guys not remember that? Like, maybe I'm a bit of a dinosaur. That's fine. Like back in the time, before movies had sound, we had these retargeting agencies. Before you could hear people talk dialogue, and it's just like.
I didn't get it until 2016, 2017. So I mean, even with the agencies I was talking to back at Facebook, they were all doing, pretty. Top of funnel retargeting and stuff. So I mean, I never really came across them, I guess.
Did any actual good brands that had good people in them opt for a retargeting agency over a proper agency, for lack of a better term? I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, no, it was the standard. You looked to Criteo. That was the one. I stole millions from Criteo. Fuck them. Also, thank you. You made my job so easy. No, it was standard. So basically what you did is you had these agencies that existed as omni-channel retargeting agencies. Now, Criteo still exists, but their retargeting business, those floors, if they had 5 floors in Manhattan, they lost 4 of them. Like just flat out, like empty offices, abandoned buildings. Like it was like fucking zombie apocalypse type, like 28, like you wake up and it's just like you're in like 28 days later type shit. But it was standard practice. Basically, you did your brand marketing and then you used retargeting agencies to come in and do stuff. Now, where this comes from is you ran your own brand marketing, you had your email, you basically owned all of your data, and then you paid somebody else to go and monetize all the attention you couldn't. And then Google came along and was like, well, we can do, if people are searching for us, we can, yeah, I'm a thief in the night. Abso-fucking-lutely. You're welcome.
I got something. I got a hot take if y'all want to check this out.
All right, let's do it.
I think there's about to be a fucking purge of accounts with agencies, just from performance, everything. I think there is about to be like maybe a max exodus, probably the biggest ever, of just people dipping out of their agencies. I personally think that. So I do think a lot of agencies are going to be going out of business in the next 3 to 4 months minimum.
If performance wasn't communicated properly, then yes.
Yeah.
But if communication around what iOS did and the things that the agency or the actual person running the ads is doing to help with the situation and the relationship is in a good position, then no. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of people that truly give a crap about that kind of stuff out there working. So yeah, I do agree that, the 3-6 month time span has passed where these brand owners are like, okay, it's not really our agency's fault that this has happened. Let's give them some time to try and work through it and see what happens in Q4. That's over. So it's a hit or a miss.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think to that point, the 2018, 2019 upstart agencies that we all know, like a million of these that have just come up out of nowhere and have a whole bunch of business, they're either going to go out of business or they were able to land a whale that didn't need them. Like, for what it's worth, Snow is probably floating 3 of these. Because their whole business models, they hire agencies to effectively be affiliate. He hires agencies, which is fucking brilliant. I'll end my point with this. He hires agencies to effectively drive traffic to affiliate offers, and then the agencies pay off, then he keeps the contract. Basically, he hires full service agencies as affiliate marketers, and he has like dozens around the world. And he gives everybody exclusive turf and everybody exclusive offers, but nobody's allowed to bid on branded terms.
So what he's done is cooks in the kitchen, but I didn't realize it was structured that way.
No, that's the deal. And I happen to know because I worked with like 3 of them over the last 2 or 3 years. I keep saying like, oh, you have a Snow account. Cool. Like, The last people so you're the Canada one. Got it. Okay, cool. Or like you're the US one. Got it. Cool. You're the UK one. Awesome. Like a lot of these, before I made the MBA program for advertisers, I was doing training for agencies. And like, so I was just onboarded into agencies, installing system and process. And then I'd be there for 6-9 months, whatever, and move on to the next one. And for like 2.5 years, everybody that hired me was the snow in their area. It's brilliant. But yeah, to your bottom point, I love that hot take. I think you're either so big that you're like an Omnicom or like a Mute 6 or something like that, where you don't do good work, but you train people fairly well. And you've got Nissan, you've got Honda, you've got CBS or some international conglomerate billion-dollar company that doesn't need you. You are a department of their company that they outsource. That's it. Or you're somebody like us that might handle 3 to 5 accounts that could absolutely better than the entrepreneur, because they shouldn't be doing it themselves, because that's not really their business model. An entrepreneur should hire everybody around them. They should effectively make themselves obsolete by installing people better than them at everything. And so if you're not either the super low end where anybody could hire one of us for like 5-10K a month plus whatever, like there's some like range where there's somebody in our spot where we are as good as an agency or better. We're as good or cheaper than an internal team member and way more effective. Performance-wise, you're going to get better results. Cost is going to be lower. The unit economics, honestly, media buyers, and I'll use this quote from Hank Azaria, and then I'll promise I'll shut up. Hank Azaria, who is a voice of many of the characters on The Simpsons. One of his famous quotes that I love, and I don't know if it's a famous one, I just heard it and I loved it, is he's both at the same time the most wildly overpaid man in the world and also the wildly most underpaid. Because he makes millions as the voice of people in The Simpsons. But he works like 12 days, maybe 13 days. He spends 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks recording all the voices for all the parts in The Simpsons in a vocal booth. And they're like, cool, here's millions. Massively overpaid for his time. But that's $1 billion franchise.
Yeah. So
they're paying him fucking shekels to shut the fuck up. And my point is, people like us, I remember when this job was a $35,000 a year job. Management, upper management, when I started was $75K. Like when I was a supervisor at Omnicom, I was making $75,000 a year. And I was managing $1 million a day in spend.
Ooh.
None of us, you can't hire me to work on your account for $75K a year. Bottom line, we can do consulting, but I'm not working for that and actually managing your spend. And you might spend $1 million in a year. You can't get me for what they would spend on $1 million a day. And we're still undervalued. But the people that are good are going to ultimately become CMOs. And the people that are bad are going to run out of people to take advantage of. And that person that's a bad media buyer but gives a fuck more than an agency is going to steal all the agency business. Because people are going to get sick and tired of being on the 3rd agency, their 5th agency, the 8th agency. And it's going to be value add above and beyond that's going to separate people.
There's a lot of that. There's more than people think in terms of like agency burn. A lot of clients that I've worked with, like, yeah, we've gone through 3 agencies. Like we're ready, you know? It's rough out there is what I'm saying. So like, if you're an advertiser out there listening and you get some of that pushback from a client, know that it's very well grounded. And it probably comes from a place of like, well, they've been there before and they've gotten burned. So
yeah, and to piggyback off that, you know, if you are a business who's been burned, hit me up on Twitter. I'll do all your advertising for you. It's like
you should message us. Yeah, like I don't have the bandwidth to manage your ads, but I've got students that are phenomenal that you should absolutely talk to because they take my system, and that's how I'm just basically making my school produces people that are better than 89% of the people on the face of the planet, and they get there in weeks because most people are taught dog shit. But that's my angle now. That's my business, is actually just training people to replace agencies. Not trying to like do it, but I'm saying how I'm leveraging this ecosystem. Like I bet my future on it. is the agency is going to be obsolete because one person that gives a fuck can do phenomenally better than a million people that don't give a damn at all.
Hey, Charlie, you got any more than pixels, man? You're pixelated as fuck.
Fun stuff. Anyway, with that being said, I really appreciate it. I don't want to go on too much longer than an hour because I know the watch time drops as soon as it hits that triple digits. And I'm trying to be a halfway decent YouTuber, thanks to Sean Cannell. I appreciate it. Think Media, solid dude. And Dennis Yu, who's also taught me a lot. So shout out to those nice people. With that being said, let's go in reverse order of the entries. So Dylan, please let people know how they can get in contact with you. Any other parting thing that you might want to say, any of that other stuff, I'll shut the fuck up and let you have the floor.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Marketer Dylan. I am booked up. I'm not taking on any more clients right now. But if there's anything crypto or Node or crypto gaming related or anything crypto, like hit me up. I'm so balls deep in this stuff. Like it's so much fun. Of course, I'm still killing it with my account list. Don't think I'm, giving up marketing. I'm still all in on that. This is just kind of for fun. But hey, I'm in the Node game. So if you find any little hidden nuggets out there, I'm trying to get an island in the next 3 years. They aren't cheap, so hit me up.
I like it. What about you, Lord of Ads? Let's where can people find you? What do you got to say?
Yeah, so first of all, don't listen to Dylan because he plays Battlefield, terrible gaming franchise. The few people that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. Moving on. Twitter is at Lord of Ads. I post basically daily Facebook advertising tips and tricks, some that Charlie would agree with, some that he potentially wouldn't. That's okay. Just got to keep the conversation and the results flowing. If you want to shoot me an offer, if you have a brand that you need some work done and you think it's a good fit, let me know. Shoot me a DM on Twitter. Website is thelordofads.com. Someone took this. It's actually an agency. Someone took lordofads.com. They're an agency. So I can't get that domain, unfortunately. So it's thelordofads.com. And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Right on. And in case you don't know, I'm Charlie. I appreciate you guys coming on. I don't take on management deals. I'm more like a board advisor at this point. And I do have a school where I basically train people to be media buyers. I think Code Academy, but for media buying. If Code Academy promises you $75K and you feel like I should just do double that for way less work, Facebook ads are perfect for you. And if you want to know how to do them better than 80-90% of the people in the world, I do have a program for that. It's not cheap, but your payments are going to be paid off real quick because this is life-changing money. I'll say this. I was 8 years ago for Christmas, I was really hoping to get a blanket because I was too fucking cold in my apartment in Laurel Canyon. I was getting woken up in the middle of the night because it was too cold to sleep through it. Last year I bought a house and paid for my wedding in cash in LA. So that is all because of Facebook media buying. And yeah, I'm a reformed junkie. I was 10 years a fucking heroin addict. Now I'm a landowner dropping crazy, like Dylan and I with I pulled up a couch cushion, found $5,000. Can we set me up on some nodes? And he 100% did it, recorded it, and it is in the Twitter chat. Not available for everybody, but for all of us now. Anyway, with that being said, I really, really appreciate you guys. As always, follow everybody here. My man Jake is going to be chopping all this stuff up, so you'll get to see all sorts of fun little clips. Subscribe for more things. Follow everybody. Ask questions. Tag us in certain things. And, well, because Rob is not here, I'm going to steal his sign-off. You are not your ROAS. That's Rob's thing. No, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, with that being said, thank you guys so much. I'll see you later on the internet. I appreciate it. Go out there, make some money. Enjoy the holiday. There's nothing you can do now that's going to make any more money between now and Christmas. So shut the fucking laptop.
That's the moral of the story. That's the ending quote.
I'll see you guys later.
Later, guys.
Cheers.